To strike or not to strike, or is it just a coincidence, right? There are reports that the LA and Long Beach ports have closed due to a worker shortage, but the unions that represent the workers at both terminals are in talks for a new contract. Some are trying to connect the two, right? A union representing some workers withheld them from their regularly scheduled hours on Thursday evening. The Pacific Maritime Association says that this action has actually shut down the ports of LA and Long Beach, which happen to be the largest gateway for maritime trade in the U.S. The union released a statement, but made no mention of any formal work stoppage or action. And as Yogi Bear would say, is this deja vu all over again? I mean, with oil spiking to $80 a barrel on OPEC cuts, our inflationary environment is more than a little sensitive at the moment. A disruption at these ports, where, by the way, 40% of goods arriving to the U.S. are processed in those two ports, that could have more than a negative impact on our supply chains and inflation. Has anyone seen or heard from the Transport Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, as of late? Is this another no-show for the administration and another blow to the consumer? My next guest probably has some thoughts on this. Please welcome to the show, Rebecca Walser. Thank you very much, Rebecca, for taking the time to join us today. Those numbers are pretty heady. 40% of the goods that come to the country come through those two ports, and they're not working. I mean, they were quick to get out there and try to sort it out when things were getting backed up, but now that there's nobody there's nobody to be seen.
You know, Scott, this is just a nationwide problem that we're experiencing. And I looked at the union statement, the International Longshore and Haulers Union Statement Local 13, and they basically said that they just, they had their staff enjoy the Easter holiday. It's specifically talking not only Thursday night, but went into Friday, it extended into Friday. And they said, well, they enjoyed the Easter holiday, which is odd because they obviously would have shifts
right.
on Good Friday. So, I don't know if this is a situation that not only is it the union contract being negotiated, but there is a much bigger thing that's happening, Scott, that we're not discussing. It is going to come fully out into the public in the next 6 to 8 months, and that is a massive amount of disability. We have close to 2 million people that have been disabled since 2020, and we have just a lot of people that have unfortunately passed. I don't know whether it was from the actual, it doesn't matter the reasons. I don't want to go into it, but the fact is that we have an actual human capital shortage of mass proportions in the United States. And actually, this is a global phenomenon, and we have to deal with it. I know personally, this has been the worst 2 years of hiring people in ever in my career. And so this is them not wanting, the union not wanting to really answer to what's going on. But I think it's a combination of them negotiating their contract, and they basically said they're short workers. And so this is going to be a problem that the United States has to deal with. And I'm looking at the Biden administration, and they specifically addressed this and just said, it looks like it's a local problem. It's a local problem that's happening, guess what, everywhere, right, locally. So it's an actual global problem, and nobody in this administration is addressing it and dealing with it. And this is going to continue to happen, Scott. It's
just another problem. And this is what I'm starting to slowly but surely get angry about it, right? Because it seems like I'm going to take that I mentioned it earlier, that guy Mayhem for Allstate, right? Everywhere you look in our economy, there's mayhem, right? Yep. And then it seems like we're taking care of it with whack-a-mole. So it's like it's a cross between whack-a-mole and mayhem, where we're not getting our hands around any problem and solving it. We're maybe putting a short-term Band-Aid on things, but when you have these types of things pop up at 40%, that supply chain could affect 40% of the goods that are processed coming into the country out there. Exactly. You've got an issue with China and Taiwan. I mean, I hate hearing what I'm hearing every day on the news about what that might end up being. We already have Russia, Ukraine. We've got a southern border problem. And, and now we're starting to see people say that, like you said, we can't get young people to work. I mean, where is the pride in your work ethic? Where has that gone? They say, the doctors and all these other people that write these articles I read, they say it's not there. For the younger worker, folks are now having to hire 50-year-olds, with people which are people that have a high work ethic versus the younger ones that just don't care. What's going on?
I hate to throw all Gen Zers onto the bus because I have a lot that work for me and millennials as well. But I think you're right. Something has been lost in translation between the generations. There's a large sense of, everyone got the participation trophy for just playing in the game. And that kind of resonated into mentality and society. And now it's like, I remember when I was in Vail in 2020, it was during coronavirus, obviously. And there was a really famous pizza shop that we went to with me and my friends that we were there. And it was like, peacefully nice to the people that showed up today. Like, right? It was like, acknowledge that these people actually showed up because everyone else called in sick. And this is kind of the mentality. It's kind of this mentality of you should be appreciative of the fact that I just decided to get out of the bed, get dressed, and actually put some sort of effort forward. Don't really expect me to like actually care beyond that. And it's just this kind of apathetic blanket that has just filtered and come down. And the people that are older like me, the Gen Xers that are in the sandwich generation between the baby boomers and the millennials, understand that that just is not going to work long term. That is a phase of society and economics that we're going through, and it has to pass because people must optimize always. We always are looking for self-optimization in our life, and that requires fulfillment, and that requires us doing something that actually takes work, perseverance, and work ethic. And these Gen Zers are going to be left in the cold if they don't understand that we all strive to self-actualize and have our best life.
Right, and I'm old. I'm 57 years old, but I've gone through some hard times in my career before, and with the economy before. Yeah. I tell you what, if things look the way I think they're looking with this bank lending, these banking crisis, when we could have a big wake up call for these kids that think that they can pick and choose their next job, because sometimes you got to take what you can get.
What we're looking at, Scott, is probably exactly what needs to happen. It's kind of like what the Great Depression did to the greatest generation and to the baby boomers. It made them, they were very young, the baby boomers, but for those that do remember it, if any. But for the greatest generation, I remember my grandfather for the rest of his life after the Great Depression never went anywhere without a plastic Ziploc bag of grape nuts, because that's how it impacted him. He was so without food that he just for the rest of his life carried his grape nuts with him everywhere he went. That's the type of earth-shaking, soul crushing thing that people have to go through to experience. And I think that this will be that experience for these Gen Zers. And a lot of people will shift and realize, wow,
I tell you,
this is going to be tough.
We got to jump, but I'll tell you, I'll end it on this. The further away, I totally agree, 100%. The further away from the Depression and World War II we get, the worse it gets. I mean, that's the problem.
Sure.
All right.
We all forget.
Thank you very much for being on. Rebecca Walser, she comes to us from Tampa, Florida. Let's take a look at those go-tos. I have them by now.